Hello everybody, my name is Ling Ming. Today we're going to be talking about the Canadian shooting schools and their impact. Canada, a country that's known for its peaceful and um peaceful and beautiful scenery, is recently in throughout history been suffering a lot of terrible shooting, especially school shootings. And so we know that it leads to thousands of victims' life ended, and that Canadian people were very still in grief from the stories recently. So let's talk about the things that have happened in history. First is the École Polytechnique Mascar in December 6, 1989. And so this is the one of the deadliest school shooting in Canadian history and is widely remembered as the Montreal Massacre. If you ever search on Google Montreal Massacre, you would know what this is. A 25-year-old man entered an engineering classroom at the École Polytechnique in Montreal. He ordered the men to leave, and while screaming, "You are all feminists," he opened fire on the women. He continued through the hallways and cafeteria for 20 minutes before taking his own life, and the results were deadly. 14 women were killed, and other 14 were injured. And so the massacre have led to a massive national debate on misogyny and gender-based violence. It was the primary catalyst of the 1995 Firearm Act, which is introduced stricter gun control and a national gun registry. Also, about the reason on why the 25-year-old man ever get crazy, people said it's due to the trend of feminists in a lot of schools lately and a lot of modern public lately. We don't know yet about what was the man thinking at that moment because he ended himself when he was shooting his fire. But we do know is that there's gonna be probably had been some mystery of that man's life. Secondly is on the Dawson College shooting, and so occurred in downtown Montreal. This incident was marked by a rapid police response because an individual dressed in black trench coat began shooting outside the college. And unlike earlier accidents where police waited for SWAT teams, officers on the scene immediately engaged the shooter and eventually shooting him in the arm before he took his own life right in the scenario. And so one student was killed and 19 others were injured, which was way much more better. Now comes to the La Loche Community School on January 2016. And so this shooting took place in a remote Dean community in northern Saskatchewan. A 17-year-old student, 17 years old, shot and killed two of his cousins at home before driving to the local high school. He opened fire in the foyer and hallways and targeting the teachers and the staff. 4 people in total were killed and 7 were injured. A 5th victim succumbed to the injuries years later in 2023. And so lastly, recently on February 10, 2026, it happened in the rural community of Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. And so on a Tuesday afternoon, a shooter opened fire at the local secondary school and a nearby residence. 9 people in total were killed and at least 25 others were injured. The suspect was later found dead from a self-inflicted injury. We could all see in common is that this happens in schools and that the victims decided to end their life right after they shoot their fire. We don't know yet about the reasons because they all have killed themselves in the incident, but we do know is that these are getting way more of control. The Canadian government is setting out more strict rules to gun ownership and a lot of stricter rules of gun selling and ownership overall in the total country. Thank you for listening and goodbye.